Today on the Diz List is part 2 of bringing rides to World Showcase.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob. And today we're going to have our part 2 in our series of bringing rides to World Showcase. How'd I do that time?
You did pretty well. It only took us twice. That's fine.
Yeah.
We usually are pretty clean. So.
I know. It's like a disaster when I flub the intro. Sometimes when I flub the intro, we keep it and laugh because it's not that bad.
Right.
Today's was terrible. I had to redo it twice.
Yeah, it's okay. It all happens.
It's all good. And a lot of times we point to, well, my band played last night or this or that. I really have no excuse. I'm wide awake and feeling good, and I've had coffee. So I think it's just because so many times in the opening I end with at Walt Disney World, but it didn't really fit. Plus I had to throw part 2 in there.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really excited about today's show. I think this has been kind of a fun series.
Yeah.
You sort of were dealt some difficult ones.
I was.
How about today? Are today's difficult too?
I think they're a little difficult, but it's okay. I'm happy with what I have.
One of mine was because there isn't really a lot left because it's such a popular one that they've already made a lot of rides based on these particular countries.
Okay.
But we have some news that we need to get to at the top of the show here. One of the big ones is one of your favorite rides. I know you love this. You love competition and you like being competitive, is Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is getting a big upgrade and it looks really cool.
I am so excited about this.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. One, the competition level.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that we're finally getting movable or removable, you know what I mean? Like
I'm calling them handheld.
Sure, handheld guns.
Which is like the way they have it in Disneyland, which I found kind of more fun. It's freeing. You can move around instead of like stuck to
two types of feedback that you've hit, right? Whether it's haptic, so the vibration,
or the visual graphic on top of those Z targets.
I think it's going to be great. I'm going to throw down the gauntlet right now and challenge your wife once more. The next time that we're there, it's going to have to be a competition.
Maybe summer after we could. That's possible.
I mean, anytime we could overlap so that I can go on that ride with her and actually not get stuck, hopefully, because it's going to be completely refurbed, in the room where she's aimed right at the high value target.
Now, I saw on social media, this was not my idea, but I saw this and I thought, this is a really cool angle. Was that so much that goes into the parks these days is based on pre-existing IP. And that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that at all. But they're bringing in a robot or droid, whatever world you want to call it in. So there's a new character being added that's just specific to this ride in Walt Disney World. I think that's cool.
I love when they have ride-specific IP.
Yeah.
You know that. You know I love, for instance, Figment. You know that I particularly like the rides, like, for instance, Pirates of the Caribbean, which literally spurned an entire movie franchise.
Yeah.
So I love ride IP, and then doing this is cool. Mm-hmm. So
one other thing that this person noticed too is that on the bottom there's like letters, like the robot name.
Yeah.
And the letters, and I'll let people go in and look, the letters represent something that was previously in that area, in that attraction. So go check that out.
Yeah. They do that a lot, right? Because like even
little Easter eggs.
Yeah, like the numbers on the I don't want to call them train cars, the carnival
canisters.
Oh, I'm talking about the numbers on the carnival cars over in Storybook Circus.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Star Wars ones in Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, that too. But like the numbers on the carnival cars, or whatever you want to call them, circus cars, over in the splash pad area of
Storybook Circus.
They're like the opening dates of the parks.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool.
And to finish that point, in Galaxy's Edge, there's these like, I don't know, they're crates or canisters or something.
Yeah.
And they have the release dates of various Star Wars movies.
Exactly.
So I think that's cool that they're adding in a new character. I think that's great.
I do too.
speaking of Star Wars, and I'm going out of order here now, but since this came up, they also showed, and this is only in Disneyland right now. I don't know if they're going to bring it to Florida or not, but they're doing a projection show for, I forgot what they call it, the something of the Force, the era, the time, the season of the Force. That's it. And they do this projection show. Looks really cool. I didn't want to watch through the whole thing. I just saw a couple clips,
right,
and I thought, oh, that looked really neat. And then they have the walk around character of Luke Skywalker. Doesn't completely look like Luke. It's hard sometimes when they do that.
Short of getting Sebastian Stan to literally walk through the parks, you're not going to get old school Luke.
My thought was if they cast somebody as like Moana or Tiana or somebody, like it's a cartoon,
right?
So when it's personified, you believe it a little bit more.
Correct.
That's funny you say Sebastian Stan because he literally looks like Mark Hamill from that era. Yeah. So and it's just not just me, but if you guys know what Sebastian Stan looks like, or Mark Hamill who played Luke Skywalker, if they were to ever do like a continuation with that character, you just cast Sebastian Stan. He looks just like him.
You'd almost have to. Yeah.
Looks just like him. It's crazy.
Yes.
So that was new this week. I also read that Epic Universe is going to finally sell one-day tickets because for a long time you could only buy a 3-day pass, and that would give you entrance into Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, and into Epic Universe. You get 1 day at each, and now it looks like they're going to start selling individual days. So like Christmas and spring break, I'm sure those are going to go really, really quick.
They also announced Express Pass is coming for Epic Universe. So you can buy it. I don't think it's part of the stay at their premier resort thing, but for I think it was $129 you get Express Pass. Their Express Pass is a better value, I think, than Disney's.
Yeah.
And
then if you stay at one of their hotels, is that still a deal? Is that like all the time or only temporarily?
Right now, that does not apply to
Epic Universe, but maybe the other two.
Yes, the other two, definitely.
Okay.
For now.
Curious about that. As far as news for us is concerned, we had a contest this past month with our, I don't know, we call it our sister store. We have, Nick and I run another side business that's called Magic Merch. If you follow us online, you've probably seen some of the posts that we do. And we had a contest the last month that if you go on and subscribe to us on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. We appreciate the people that did it. And we're going to announce the winner next week. Yeah. So we'll have a random drawing. You'll take all the usernames, copy paste them, and we'll hit the randomizer.
Put them in a randomizer, yeah.
Or do Wheel of Death, or that we do that on our Patreon show a lot.
My daughter said, "Oh, I really hope I win." And I was like, "I can literally give you the same shirt." So,
well, maybe she'll win.
Yeah.
And we have some new stuff up on Magic Merch. I started a new series for park snacks, and I did pretzel, the Mickey pretzel. I can't really call it a Mickey pretzel, but there is a mouse-shaped pretzel that is up there right now. We have some different items that are available with that. That's the first of 4. More to come soon. And let's see what else we have.
I have something about snacks. Just really quickly.
Yeah.
I had a student earlier this week say, "You ever been to Disney?"
and your answer is just laughing.
This was in that one middle school thing I have.
You have a middle school study. Hell yeah.
So I laugh. I go, yeah, I've been. I was like, you know, your art teacher? It's like, we have a podcast about Disney. And he's like, oh, okay. And he starts talking about how he had went to Universal, and
I know what kid you're talking about. Yeah, he told me this.
And he said, the turkey leg is so much better over at Universal. I said, here's a hot take. The turkey legs are bad everywhere. And he's like, what? So I had a little talk about turkey legs with a little 6th grader.
Yes.
So,
yeah, he told me too. He said, I was in Kissimmee last week. I go, oh, great. Did you go to Disney? No, we went to Universal. I go, oh, okay. Maybe next time you'll go to Disney. And,
he said he went to Disney and the lines were too long the last time, so they went this time to Universal. And I was like, well, when did you
now is the time the lines are probably shorter.
And I said, when did you go to Disney? He's like, oh, it was like over like February or April break. And I was like, well, when you go in school's in session, it's generally a little bit less crowded.
Christmas and actually summers.
Yeah.
Usually it's a little shorter lines in general.
Yeah.
We got a note from a patron. friend of the show, Mikey, sent me a message and he said, I love the perk of getting free stuff for Patreon members. So if you don't know and you're new to the show, we have a Patreon. And if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a
way to support creators.
Yes. And you get a free extra show every week. Sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes they're as long as a regular show, but it's like a bonus show every single week. But we made a little change there recently, and you're going to talk about that for me?
Yeah. There's more changes coming. Right now, it shows, you'll get an exclusive sticker after, I think it's after 3 months of membership. We really wanted to find a way to show our love for the people who are supporting us. And one way to do that is by giving them free stuff. So what we're also going to do is we're going to add a mug up there as well. So if you join at the Jungle Skipper level, you get a free sticker after 3 months as well as a free mug.
That's cool.
The only reason the mug's not up there is because the mock-up generator on Patreon wasn't working, and I'm not comfortable with just putting something up there that I can't see what it actually will look like.
Right.
So I want to make sure that it's working and looks right before we do that. So you'll get a Dizzless mug after 3 months as well. If you're an existing member, you will just have to wait until the 3 months are up. And so once I put that up, 3 months after that, it will ship out to you after 3 consecutive payments. So
I have a friend too who listens on a regular basis. Shout out to Brian. He says, I just became a patron. He's like, I don't even really listen to the extra show because I don't have time. He goes, I just wanted to support you guys. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He's like, well, sometimes I listen to it.
yeah.
But
And there's
I thought that was cool.
We actually got a new patron this week, bringing our sum total of Brian's, because it's another Brian. Brian's really like this show. I think it's our 5th patron who named Brian. So the halftime show is brought to you by all the Brians over on Dizzless Pod's Patreon page. Welcome back. So we're gonna start up here. Last week we each had our 2 rides. I but I brought a ride to China and I brought a ride to the American Pavilion, which I thought both of those were pretty difficult, with the exception of Mulan. I got thinking about the American Pavilion ride I had suggested, because I thought, it'd be cool if you were almost like a Soarin' or a Flight of Passage. I would like to amend that and say it should have been a boat ride, but that's okay.
Sure.
This week, we're going to do our next 2. I felt a little bit more comfortable this week. I will say. Spoiler alert, I ended up with Canada. So Rob's favorite pavilion, I believe, is Japan.
Yes.
And my favorite pavilion is Canada. So I think that this kind of, worked out well at the randomizer there. But I want to hear what you're doing this week.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll kick things off with the one that was, I guess, a little easier than the others. And I had Italy was my first one.
Okay.
And I went and looked up which IPs kind of exist in Italy. And there was a weird one because of Pinocchio.
Pinocchio's weird.
We've discussed this before.
Pinocchio's simultaneously German and Italian
at the same time. And they kind of, Stromboli, and then it's
if you look up the history of the story, true, not the true story, but the actual story, not the Disney-fied story. It's so confusing whether it's German or Italian.
Right.
So go on.
I mean, the countries are close. I'm not sure if I think it borders Austria at the northern end, but they're very, very close. It's the difference probably Europe, between Pennsylvania and Massachusetts.
Sure, Europe's not very. As a land mass,
right?
They're both in Europe, so it'd be like a state.
So my first thought was that, and then this one that I ended up coming up with didn't even show up on this list, and I had to think about it. And my mind was kind of on this movie recently because my students were talking about it the other day, and that movie's Luca.
Oh.
So Luca, I think, is such a great and underrated
very underrated.
film.
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun. It is visually breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how great would it be to bring that into the world of Disney? Now, Orlando already has kind of a tropical vibe. There are palm trees. You can have crystal blue water. But I'm not sure which way to go. I haven't made a final decision on whether this ride should be indoors or outdoors.
Okay.
Because at night, you can also ride these rides. And I'm not really sure if the Luca vibe of being bright and beautiful sun and blue water would match as well at night. But then I thought, I think the way to do the ride would be on a Vespa, because that's what they ride around in the movie.
Yeah.
So similar to kind of the motorbike ride that they would do at Universal, the Hagrid motorbike.
one? Yeah.
Something similar to that, where you hop on a Vespa. It won't lock into your quads, or not your quads, your
calves.
Your calves. So it'd be a little easier to ride. Maybe the speed of like a barnstormer. And you kind of zip in and out around the water, and you can see the different mer people jumping up and down out of the water. Just something that's like visually stunning that could go back there for Italy. I think it would fit really nice. If you think of the vibe back in the Italy pavilion, everything is clean and there's marble and stone. And then if you were to enter that ride, it would kind of fit with that overall feel. And I don't know space behind or next to. I probably should have looked that up, but this is kind of fantasy pie in the sky stuff anyways.
We said pie in the sky.
So I don't have a ton of specifics yet, but I just think that's the way to go is to go with Luca.
I mean, Luca's a great property that doesn't get the love it deserves. I think it's because people were just so annoyed with Disney. I mean, they still are with their lack of creativity. And that one I thought was good.
That come out during COVID?
Yeah, I mean, that's
it
part
didn't
of
have a theatrical release?
Part of the issue, I think. I'm going to do, so I already spoiled the fact that I have Canada, but I'm not doing that one first. I'm going to, because I want to save that one. I don't want to get too far ahead by a century or something like that. So,
I get that reference.
Yeah.
Especially with Canada.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wonder how many listeners get that reference.
I don't know. So I had Morocco, and this is, yes, low-hanging fruit when it comes to Morocco, that I'm going to go with an Aladdin-themed ride.
Great.
But I want to explain why I'm going with the ride I'm going with. First off, I think it should be known at this point that kids are not, when you think of EPCOT, you don't think of kids, right? And so how can we make it more family friendly in that part of the park?
Like a Dumbo style carpet ride?
No, because that already exists.
Oh, where?
The Dumbo style carpet? I thought you were serious for a second.
I'm just acting.
Okay.
I'm working on my acting chops.
Okay.
You use that for Instagram.
Yeah. So,
and the Oscar goes to...
yeah, you had me fooled for a second. No, I was thinking a ride similar to another ride. I actually had been thinking about this. So, they basically cloned Dumbo, called it Magic Carpets, right?
Yeah.
What if they did an actual magic carpet ride?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
A la,
cool.
very similar to...
Yeah, the doors, the hanging doors?
No. Magic carpet ride that is a dark ride over the tops of the city.
Oh, like Peter Pan.
Kingdom, like
Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly, like Peter Pan's flight.
Yeah.
But I think that would be really cool.
That would be great.
It'd be great for little kids.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the Morocco Pavilion has a lot of empty space now.
Yeah.
They could probably pull something off.
Yeah, we usually go there and take a rest midday.
Yeah, I love that pavilion, but I used to love it more when the bazaar was there. I think it'd be great. And you do, come on, show you the world, a whole new world, whatever.
Yeah.
Play the soundtrack from Aladdin, and you're on the carpet, and you're riding above the kingdom, the city, and maybe you turn the corner, and now you're out over the desert. Maybe you even go past where the cave is. I think it's just so easy.
Great ride for kids. That's a good idea.
the genie could be a part of that ride.
Could be projection,
yes.
whatever.
I just think that would be a really good way to make we've talked about a lot of like thrill rides so far in all of our stuff. I think this is a great way to make it so it's, a throwback to a classic IP. You'd be hard pressed for people to get really that angry about bringing in that IP into that pavilion because it already exists there, because that's where they meet and greet. So I think it would be a great thing to do is just bring in a dark ride like Peter Pan that is on a magic carpet.
They don't do a lot of the newer rides that come in are big, like showstopper rides, right? I would say the most recent ride that I think fits in that category would probably be Navi River Journey. Can you think of another one recently that is kind of slow, relaxed, dark ride?
No.
Right? Maybe that's the most recent.
Because Remy, you can't really call it slow, and that's a showstopper.
Yeah, and so kind of is in Mickey and Minnie too.
Right. So like as far as like super kid friendly, classic style dark ride.
Yeah.
I can't think of one.
No.
So
because Navi River Journey doesn't really. They have kind of those Panther style things in the back, but I don't think it's ever to the point where it gets scary.
that ride was supposed to be twice as long.
Yeah.
And they cut a whole heck of a lot.
And they were supposed to even have a coaster.
Yeah.
That was going to be when you enter, like to the far left of the park. Like if you walk in, you go hard left. There was also going to be next to that another coaster that was supposed to go with it.
Right.
So, speaking of which, they've been doing a lot of announcing or kind of more information with Disneyland and all the things that are happening out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all those details now, but I will say the more I hear the details about those new rides and the Avengers rides, they're looking great.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm very excited about all that stuff.
Great.
You finished with that one?
I am. No, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
Morocco. So for me, Morocco in a magic carpet dark ride similar to like Peter Pan's Flight.
Then I had for my first one, I had Italy and I had a Luca themed ride. Then I have Germany. So Germany is. There's already 7 dwarfs.
There's already a ride.
There's already 2.
Well, there was already a plan for a ride.
Yeah. So there's 2. We have Mine Train over at Magic Kingdom, and this is the part where you have to act. They have a ride like that in Magic Kingdom. Never mind.
No.
And then out in Disneyland, they have the ride that used to exist in Magic Kingdom, Snow White's Scary Adventures is what it's called now. They made some nice upgrades to it. That ride is really a lot of fun. So there's already 2 that exist. So a lot of the different Grimm Brothers Grimm stories are kind of based in that area.
Yeah.
I thought, there's that Tangled ride that they already have. And that's in Tokyo Disney Sea, I believe. I wrote it down.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've watched the ride through. Looks fantastic. Right?
I agree.
Easy to copy paste. Okay. Then I'm done and we move on to you in Canada. It's not going to be that easy. I had to come up with something different.
Okay.
So could they do that? Sure. And I would love it because that ride looks fantastic.
Right.
Easily put that back there. But I'm like, what could we do? Maybe a property that doesn't exist yet, isn't a movie, isn't anything. People love Haunted Mansion. People love those scary kind of rides. Maybe in the back there, because there was an entrance to where there was going to be that
Rhine
boat
River,
ride.
I guess Rhine River.
Yeah.
Something or other.
Maybe back there you do a spooky ride themed with Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, God.
With the witch, and call it Schwarzwald, which is Black Forest. And you go through the Black Forest, and it's a scary ride.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I cannot figure out how some of the most amazingly famous kids' stories are as deeply disturbing
And evil. Yeah.
Brothers Grimm were some screwed up.
It's dark.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they're so normalized to us that we don't ever think of it that way.
Yeah.
Like she was going to take them and put them in the oven.
She's going to cook them and eat them.
Kill them and eat them. But, when we were kids, we're like, oh, yep, they were going to put them in the oven. But, like, we're just kids.
Leave a breadcrumb trail.
No big deal.
Like, what?
Yeah. Or the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think that's a cool idea.
I don't know. I like the scary stuff, and
I mean, and it doesn't have to be like scary, but it could be spooky, right?
Yep.
I mean, and that's
spooky through the woods, and could even be a shorter ride.
You definitely didn't go for any low hanging fruit on that one.
No, but I said at the start of the show with the robot that's going to be in Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
I like sometimes when things come in that are unique to the park.
I agree. I think that's cool, and that's something that I think it would be a fun way to not bring true IP in, but also potentially lead to an IP. Like Disney could Disneyfy that in a heartbeat and have it be very popular. So that's a great idea.
Yeah. So Italy and Germany, those were my two. And then you have Canada, and you. I
already did the Morocco. So Canada
and Morocco, you did. That's Aladdin. Yep. I think that's great.
Ready for Canada?
Yeah. What do you got? I have no idea what you're going to say right now.
So maybe
I do. I can only think of one.
So I can tell you this. I had thought long and hard about ways to make this kind of a joke. Okay. And not a joke, but like a riddle, an inside joke for me. And only me, because I don't know of anybody else who would get all the stuff I was going to say.
Okay, now I know where you're going. Did you hint at this 10 minutes ago?
So I originally was going to say, essentially describe my entire ride using nothing but Tragically Hip lyrics.
Tell the listeners who the Tragically Hip are.
In the words of members of Rush, they are Canada's band.
Sure.
And for members of Rush to call the Tragically Hip Canada's band, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
They are by far my favorite band of all time. Their music was a soundtrack to still is a soundtrack of my life, but they remarkable band. Okay. I saw them live. I don't know how many times, well over 15. And I thought to myself, I could totally do this. I had a whole script. I was like, I can do this. But then I was like, I'm the only one who's going to get that joke, or my brother maybe, or we do have some Canadian fans, but so instead I decided not to. Then I was like, well, maybe it's not a joke. Maybe we just pick up and move Rock and Roller Coaster to Canada and
then all the songs by Tragically Hip.
I would ride that ride on loop, and it could stay as cheesy as it is today. And I would ride it on loop with them just playing Courage and New Orleans is Sinking on loop. That would be fine. But then I got thinking, well, I think really what needs to happen, that pavilion kind of lays heavy into, when you're walking into it anyway, the indigenous people of Canada.
Sure does.
And so I thought, what about some folklore? Some Canadian folklore.
Cool.
And I was thinking, what's some good Canadian folklore? And then I thought, what about the lake monsters? Because there are so many stories of lake monsters, or bay monsters maybe, because there's some Hudson Bay stuff too. And so they have I'm just going to read some of these. These are just 5 names of different versions of Nessie that they have. They have Ogopogo, Manipogo, Mugwump, Cressy, and then Memphra. And Memphra is in Lake Memphremagog, which is, by the way, a Tragically Hip song. So maybe we'll go with that one. But the idea being that it's a boat ride. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there happens to be the sea monsters, these Nessies or whatever. There's sightings of these. So it's another in-park IP.
Cool. Good.
And I don't know which one you pick. Ogopogo, Memphra. I don't care what you pick. I had so many ideas. The other thing that I thought of was you could put 2 pieces of folklore together. There is this, it's called Fire Ship, or they actually call it the Phantom Ship. And the story behind it's a little dark because it has to do with selling the Micmac people into slavery. So that part is obviously not a good part of it, but the idea of this supposedly at night, you can, in the winter months, there's an electrical phenomenon above this lake where the colors of some gases that are released actually make it look like there's a phantom ship out on the water. And so you could easily put together the Phantom Ship which is supposedly sailed by the ghosts of these sailors
cool.
that were part of this horrible slave trade, and they're doomed to have to do this. Along with the idea of the lake monster, so like the Nessie, but the Canadian version. I think it would be kind of a fun little ride through Canadian wilderness. You're on a lake or on a river or whatever, and you could do a trackless boat ride. Is my thought.
Oh,
so
cool.
So I don't know how you do it. That's for the Imagineers.
Imagineers will figure it out.
And it could be the same ride system as like Rise or Remy, but if you just put a few inches of water, you can make it look. I mean, all the rides that look like there's tons of water, you're in like 6 inches of water.
Could be magnetic. I don't know if that would work or not.
But like, for instance, look at Pirates. When you go into that big room, you think you're in a ton of water. It's like 6 inches of water.
Yeah, you can get off and put your foot in it.
Yeah. Well, don't do that.
You'll be banned for life.
Yes. So my idea for Canada is a sea monster / lake monster thing. I thought that would be a fun one. And I opted not to go with the full description using nothing but tragically hip lyrics.
Well,
but,
that'd be funny too.
For me, it would have been hilarious. And I don't know how long it would have taken before you would have picked up on it, because I would have used like lyrics, not titles.
I picked up on the title earlier when you...
Head by a Century? Yeah. I mean, that's one of their more famous ones. So.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my thought, is that we will do some good nods to folklore in Canada, because they have some crazy good folklore stories. Paul Bunyan is like somewhat Canadian as well.
I thought you were going to go with Turning Red.
I don't...
But that doesn't lend well to a ride.
Yeah. No.
It's great for a walk-around character.
I thought about ice hockey.
Yeah.
I thought about doing something with ice hockey. I thought about
Mighty Ducks, but Mighty Ducks is...
I thought about sledding, like actual like a toboggan type ride.
Cool.
So think of like Splash Mountain, but not water. But yeah, so I thought a lot about those things, but then settled on this.
All great ideas.
But this was fun. We got some good feedback last week from a couple of people who reached out and said, "Hey, that was fun to listen to. This is what I thought." I hope that people will do that again this week. Tell us what you think. And if you're a Tragically Hip fan, hit me up.
Yes, that's true.
Hit me up. So I really do appreciate all of you guys, and we appreciate all our patrons. So go check us out at patreon.com/DizListPod. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.